Okay, so we're recording fourth period for the first time, and they're really excited, so they're going to say hi. 1, 2, 3. Hi. Okay. All right. Okay, so we are doing notes 4-4. Okay, you can still look at the front. You don't have to look at me. I'm going to use my airliner to talk today. Okay. It says evaluate each function for the given input values. So on example 1, it says what is the range of the function f of x equals 1/2 x plus 2 when the domain is -4, 8, and 12. Okay, so you have to know what some of those words mean. First of all, what about the word range? What does that mean? It means like the y values, right? So it's saying what are the y values? Write that on your paper. What are the y values of the function f of x equals 1/2 x plus 2 when the domain, what is the domain? The x. So these numbers right here are x values. So draw that on your paper just like I did. Okay? So it's just like what we did on warm-up. Okay, remember back to that? Remember on warm-up where we took those numbers and we plugged them in? Okay? That's what we're going to do here, except for that, I'm going to teach you a shortcut so that you can use your calculator and it won't take as long. Okay? So get your calculator in front of you so that you can go through the steps with me. If you don't have one, go get one. All right. All right, so what you're going to do is first off make a table. Okay? And we're talking about x and y values, right? Yeah. So this is my x column. This is my y column, so I put that at the top. And it says when the domain is this. So what types of values are those? Those are x values, right? So in my x column, I'm going to put my x values, -4, 8, and 12. And then here's how you use your calculator to evaluate when x is -4, 8, and 12. Okay, you want to be on your home screen. So to get to your home screen, you just push second mode. Okay, now you should be on your home screen. Is everybody there? Yes? Yours doesn't go, yours has a home screen. Yes, come here and I'll show you where it is. It's the main screen. Right. You're on the home screen. You're there. Congratulations. Okay. All right. All right, so you're on the home screen. Okay. Now, remember yesterday we talked about that f of x is another way of saying what? Y. Good. Okay, so f of x equals. All right. So f of x means y. You're going to go to your y equals button. Okay, if there is anything in your y equals, you want to clear it out. And then you're going to type this expression into your y equals. So do y'all remember how to put a fraction in? Yeah, alpha, y equals, and then we choose that first option. And we're going to type 1/2, arrow out, x, here's x, it's over there by the alpha. Okay, so 1/2 x plus 2. Okay, so we typed our function in. Now, remember, what is this little doohickey called right there? What is that? It's a table, okay? So we want to look for a table in our calculator, all right? Look above the graph button, okay? See above the graph button, what does it say? Table. So we want to go to the table. It's the second function of the graph key. So you need to push second, graph, and now you are looking at a table. But we are looking for specific values in that table. So we want to know where x is -4. I don't see that on my screen, so I have to push the up button until I find -4. So when x is -4, y is 0. So that's going to be the first thing I write in here. When x is 8, okay, I've got to scroll back down. When x is 8, y is 6. And then when x is 12, y is 8. Okay, so your answers are what? 0, 6, and 8. Those are your answers, okay? All right, can I move on to example 2? Yep. All right, now in example 2, it says, what is the range? So what is that saying? What is the range? What's range? Okay, so what are the y values of the function f of x equals 2x squared when the domain, what is that talking about? X. So the domain is 3, 5, 10. So the x values are 3, 5, and 10. Okay, so first I need to make my table. Okay, and 3, 5, and 10 go in which column? The x column, good. So 3, 5, 10. Okay, now I have to repeat that whole process in my calculator. So to repeat that process, okay, right now we're at the table, but that was for the other function. We're not using that function anymore. We need to put a new function in. So where do we put in the functions at? Okay, so how do I get there? Second mode goes to the home screen. That's true. Okay, then what do I do? Go to y equals, yes. Yeah, we got to clear that. We don't want that anymore, right? The 1/2 x plus 2, that's not what we're using, so clear that out. Okay, our new function is 2x squared. So I'm going to push 2x squared. And then push second, and I'm looking for what? The table, right? Which is under the graph. So I'll push second graph. And I'm going to scroll to where I find x equals 3. So I need to scroll up on mine. So when x equals 3, y equals 18. Good. And then when x equals 5, y equals 50. And when x equals 10, y equals 200. Good. All right, now example 3 is worded a little different, but you basically follow the same process, okay? It says for f of x equals 5x, find f of x when x equals 6 and when x equals 7.5. Okay, so for this one, I'm still going to make my table. And I'm going to put x, and I could put y, but here it's asking us to find f of x. And f of x means the same thing as y, so I'm going to write f of x right there. But don't let that freak you out. It's the same thing as y. Okay, and it tells us to find the f of x values when x equals 6. So I'm going to put a 6 there. And when y equals 7.5. Okay, so now I need to go back and change my function. How do I do that? Second mode takes us to the home screen. Then go to y equals, type in my new function, which is 5x. Okay. And then what do I do? Second table, good, which is under the graph key. And when x equals 6, y equals 30, right? But there's a slight problem, right? What's the slight problem? There's no decimals on the table, okay? So when you're given a decimal, there's a little trick that you have to do, okay? So this is new. Pay attention. You're going to push second window, which is the key right here. okay? And see this first thing where your cursor's flashing? That says table start. You can push any number right there and make your table jump to that exact value, okay? So we want our table to jump to exactly 7.5. So right here where your cursor is flashing, just on top of whatever is there, type 7.5, like that. Everybody got that? Okay. Huh? Right now we're under the window key. We're under second window. Okay. So we went second window. We typed in 7.5. And then we're going to go back to the table. And you should see 7.5 at the very top. Mm-hmm. So when x is 7.5, y is what? 37.5. Good. Very nice. All right. You want me to go back for just a second? Good. Okay. So try example 4. Okay, I'll help you get your table set up. What are going to be our labels? What would be this column's label? No. No. T. Okay, it gives us T values. Okay, so find G of T when T equals 2 and when T equals -5. So this column is T, and the other one is G of T. Good. Okay, G of T is kind of like F of X. They just changed the letters around on us. Okay, so take a second and see if you can figure it out, and we'll walk around. All right, so here's what you should have done. You should have said your T value is 2, so put a 2 right there, and T is -5, so put a -5 right there. And then come over here and type in 2.30 T. Now we have a T, but it's okay to just use the X button as well. So 2.30 X plus 10. And then I'm going to go to my table. But what's going on with my table? Why is it looking like that? Yeah, we're still on the 0.5. So how do I fix it back? Go back to window. Good. And I'm going to type in a 2 right there. Then go back to my table. And when T is 2, G of T is 14.6. And when T is -5, the G of T is -1.5. Huh? Good call. Oh, okay. I just looked at your first value when I told you you had it right. I didn't look at the second one. I guess I should have. Okay, flip over onto the back. Okay, now on example 5, we have a table, but it's sideways, right? Okay, so you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to put it in a sideways table for this one. So we have complete the table for h of c equals 2c minus 1. So for this one, I'm going to go to my y equals. I'm going to clear out the old function, and I'm going to put in the new one. So what will I type in right there? 2, which you can just use x, right? So 2x minus 1. And then now what do I need to do? Second graph takes us to the table. Good. So when c is -3, the y value is -7. And when c is -2, the y value is -5. And when the c value is -1, it's -3. And when the c value is 0, it's -1. Good. All right, so you guys take a second and try example 6. See if you can get the values on example 6. All right, so for this one, you should go to your y equals. and put in 1/4 t plus 1. So to get the 1/4, we do green, y equals, choose the first option that pops up, and 1/4 x plus 1. And then second graph takes us to the table. So when it's 2, when x is 2, we have 3/2, which if you wrote 1.5, that's okay. Same thing. When t is 1, the g of t value is 5/4, which is the same thing as 1.25. When t is 0, y is 1. And when t is -1, g of t is 3/4, which is 0.75. So either one is acceptable. Okay, now on example 7, if you have been working ahead, it is possible that you did it wrong. Okay, so make sure that you pay attention here. On example 7, it says, what is the domain? So what is that? X. It says, what is the x of the function? F of x equals 3x minus 6 when the range is that. So for the range, what is range? Y values. So these numbers right here are y values. So in your table, when you put x and y, these go in the y column. So I put -6, 6, and 9. And then I still follow the same process. So I go over to my y equals, put in my new function, 3x minus 6, go to the table. But this time, instead of looking in the x column, I'm going to have to look in the y column. So I'm looking for where y is -6. So there it is right there. See it? When y is -6, the x value is 0. And when y is +6, I got to scroll down a little bit. When y is +6, x is +4. And when y is +9, x is +5. Okay, so that one's backwards. So for this one, our answers are 0, 4, and 5. All right, so in example 8, it says, what is the domain? So what is it asking for there? Okay, what is the x of the function f of x equals 2x minus 8 when the range, remember range is y, so when the range is -4, 6, and 13. So again, on this one, when I set up my table, x, y, these numbers right here are y values. They have to go in my y column. So -4, 6, and 13 go there. So when I go to my y equals, I type in my function, 2x minus 8. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look, okay? Y is -4, which means x is 2. Y is 6, x is 7. And y is 13. Oh, there's no 13. Okay, so where would 13 be? Huh? Okay, so 13 would be between 12 and 14, which means that our x would be between 10 and 11. But just to double check, I can go to my window. And Anthony, you said you think it would be about 10.5? Okay, and then go back to my table. So when x is 10.5, y is exactly 13. I don't think there's any like that on homework. I think that the rest of them should be whole values, okay? And then the last one here, example 9, says which function is modeled by the table. So what I'm going to do is just substitute my answer choices in. On A, I have f of x equals 3x. So I'm going to type that and look to see if that matches. This one says when x is -2, let me go back to -2. Have a seat, please. When x is -2, y is -6, which is not what that table says, so it's not A. On B, it says -x plus 1. I'm sorry, the bell has not rung. Please be seated and let me finish this example. Mark, have a seat. Thank you. Okay, when I go here, -2, 3 matches. 0, 1 matches. They all match. So B is the right answer for that one. Okay, homework is the worksheet. You guys have a great afternoon. What about what?